yesterday game was horrendous, bro. I mean, it was bad. I mean, this one might be one for the ages, bro. I can't even lie. The referees just exposed their hand so bad, bro. I mean, they just didn't care no more. They didn't care. The world was watching how bad the cause was. They didn't care at all. They was going to get their issue off against the Fever no matter what. And I'm here to tell you, that's exactly what went down, bro. I mean, they got their issue off in a major way, bro. I mean, there was countless of times I could literally look at the screen and know that was a
You might think the WNBA's biggest game changer is a star player, but what if it's actually a referee? And not in a good way. We've come across some shocking footage that's more dramatic than your favorite reality show. Caitlin Clark didn't just take a hard foul, she was completely done wrong, and we've got the proof to show it. Let's just say this ref's behavior raises serious questions, and yes, it's all caught on camera. Let's dive into what really happened.
So lads, today the referees gave the report on the situation, and it's even worse. It's even worse than I imagined, and it was pretty grim. Like, it was a pretty grim overall, it was a pretty grim overall.
Watching the WNBA and seeing how things are run, seeing how things are done, and after you've seen what it looks like to get it right, and you come in and see something looking really wrong, you're going to call it out. It is what it is. You're going to be critical of players. If they do something shady or classless, you're going to call that out.
Let's be real. When a player crosses the line or acts out, they should absolutely be held accountable. But with Caitlin Clark, it's starting to feel like she's being singled out just for being on the court. Whistles are blowing for things that don't even make sense, not for fouls or traveling, but almost just for being her. At this point, it's less about basketball and more like a poorly scripted drama, with the refs acting more like villains than officials. Between missed calls, imaginary fouls, and clear hits going unnoticed, it's hard to believe the referees are keeping things fair. If anything, they're fueling the chaos.
I wanted to share with you guys an article that I found that honestly gives us so much insight into the WNBA referees, how they are hired, how much they make. And there's one section that really stood out to me, and they break down essentially why they are making the calls that they make. And they also talk about the influx of new fans flooding to the WNBA. They talk about Caitlin Clark a little bit. This article to me was really telling. It actually came out in January, but it was published by SB Nation, and it's entitled How WNBA Referees Are Scouted, Trained, and Held Accountable.
Fans aren't confused anymore, they're just worn out. This isn't dramatic or suspenseful, it feels more like slow-motion sabotage. Some of these referees aren't just making bad calls, they're draining the energy out of games and turning people off from a league that's trying to grow. Viewers tune in expecting real competition, not some off-script improv run by the refs. It's like watching a cooking show where the judges unplug the oven mid-bake, then blame the chef. And Caitlin Clark? She's the one being sabotaged, keeping her cool while her 3-layer cake collapses into a puddle on the floor.
I mean, you would think with what they say coming into the season, Kathy was made it her business to let them know that, referees is going to be getting assessed for this next season and make sure they're making the right, proper calls. Man, at this point, we need NBA refs all the time, bro. I don't want these YMCA, junior league, high school ass referees, bro. We need real life refs because as of right now, they're costing the Indiana Fever major games that they definitely need to win.
Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark looks exhausted. And not the kind of tired you get from playing 40 minutes and dropping 30 points. This is deeper, the kind of burnout that comes from knowing you could score 60, and someone would still call a charge just because you blinked. She's not just playing a game, she's carrying a franchise, a growing league, and a huge chunk of the women's basketball fanbase on her shoulders. Meanwhile, the refs seem more focused on tripping her up than calling a fair game. It's like they're tying her shoelaces together every time she touches the ball.
You remember how last year started? You remember the lopsided officiating that we got last year? The All-Star break comes around, the Olympic break rolls around, and then what did we hear from Lynn Dunn? Lynn Dunn goes on the Dan Dockage show, and she calls out the officiating. She calls out the refereeing. She calls out the WNBA. The lopsidedness that is being shown not in favor of the Indiana Fever. The clear biases when it comes to foul calls. The clear biases when it comes to not calling foul calls. Last year, it took us halfway
Remember how the officiating looked last year when the season started? It was clearly one-sided. Then came the All-Star break, followed by the Olympic break, and finally, someone spoke up. Lynn Dunn appeared on the Dan Dakich show and didn't hold back. She called out the officiating, the refs, and even the league itself. She pointed out exactly what fans had been seeing, a pattern of calls that consistently went against the Indiana Fever. Whether it was questionable fouls being called or obvious ones being ignored, the bias was clear. And the sad part? It took us half a season just to get someone to say it out loud.
At things a little bit holistically. I think Caitlin Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career, for a couple of reasons. Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA, and all of them said it needs.
Of course she's frustrated. Who wouldn't be? Imagine being one of the best in the world at what you do, showing up night after night, delivering incredible performances, only to realize your biggest obstacle isn't the other team, it's the referees. These officials somehow miss blatant contact, but then hit Caitlin Clark with a whistle for simply moving. It's like there's some secret rule against letting her shine, and the way she's being treated? It's not just unfair, it's downright absurd. It feels like she stepped into some alternate reality where common sense doesn't apply. As for Coach Stephanie White, she didn't just lose her temper, she practically gave it away. At one point, she looked like she was stuck in a sketch comedy show, reacting to one ridiculous call after another. She was pacing, shouting, and turning redder by the second, basically turning into a walking symbol of how unjust the situation was. Meanwhile, the refs weren't even trying to hide it anymore. They weren't calling the game, they were making it up as they went, like it was open mic night at a jazz club.
Off by sharing that the officiating in the WNBA became as hot button of an issue as any. Heated debates surrounding the league's physicality dominated the headlines, particularly when Indiana Fever star rookie Caitlin Clark was subject to several intentional fouls. Now, they also brought up Game 5 of the WNBA Finals. We actually made a whole video about that as well because there were some suspect calls at the end of that game, and a lot of people felt like the WNBA Finals were actually...
There's no easy way to put this. Caitlin Clark is being treated like she broke some unwritten rule of basketball, when all she really did was bring attention back to the sport. The WNBA said it wanted more visibility. Well, mission accomplished. But now, it's like the referees are squinting into the spotlight, completely unprepared for the scrutiny. They weren't ready for packed arenas, instant replays, or a fanbase that actually notices what's happening on the court. Now, every questionable call becomes a meme within minutes. Social media's breaking down every flop, missed call, and mind-boggling whistle in slow motion. And somehow, it keeps getting worse. Caitlin goes on a fast break? Whistle. Makes a clean steal? Violation. Breathes too hard in the paint? That's a technical. Meanwhile, her opponents are out there playing full contact and getting rewarded for it. It's like the officials think the WNBA is some kind of choose-your-own-adventure story, except no matter what Caitlin does, it ends with her in the penalty box. This isn't just bad officiating anymore, it's starting to feel like psychological warfare. She's a rookie carrying herself like a seasoned pro, while dealing with pressure most veterans never face. And the target on her back? It's as big as the state she came from.
Here, it took us 4 games for Stephanie White to say, I've had enough. It's taken 4 games for Stephanie White to say, you know what? I've had absolute enough. Game 1, okay. Game 2, okay. Game 3, all right. But today was the last straw when it came for Stephanie White. The New York Liberty get to the free throw line 32 times. The Indiana Fever this season have a discrepancy minus 31 when it comes to free throws. That doesn't seem right.
Every time Caitlin Clark fights to get back up, someone's right there to knock her down, sometimes literally. And on the sidelines, Coach Stephanie White is becoming just as much of a headline as the game itself. At this point, she's the unofficial voice of reason, if reason came with red cheeks, flying clipboards, and non-stop shouting. You can almost hear her thinking, are you kidding me? Every few minutes. She's protesting so hard, it's honestly surprising she doesn't have her own mic and post-game therapy segment by now. But can you blame her? Watching your star player get hacked on every play while the refs just stand there like statues would push anyone over the edge, and instead of rallying behind Caitlyn, we're stuck dissecting replays of her getting blindsided while the officials stare off into space. It's surreal. Are we seriously living in some upside-down world where talent gets punished, and mediocrity gets a standing ovation?
This is what the referee said happened. Why was JC Sheldon's foul upgrade to flagrant one? In the judgment of the officials, the foul by Sheldon was unnecessary. The contact to Clark's face. Furthermore, there was a wind-up and impact, and the contact to face carries potential for injury. How did you come to the conclusion that that is a flagrant one? How did you come up to the conclusion that it was unnecessary? There was a wind-up, and it was to the face. The three of them that is a flagrant 2. By definition, you've described a flagrant.
Because honestly, that's exactly how it feels. Fans are paying attention now. The stands are louder, the drinks are flowing longer, and the internet is exploding with evidence. Nobody's buying the just part of the game excuse anymore. If anything, it looks like the whole thing is being run by caffeine-fueled interns who think consistency is optional, and if that sounds harsh, good, because it should be. This isn't just about Caitlyn Clark. It's about what happens when real star power meets a system that isn't ready for it. The refs are holding on to their authority like it's the last slice of pizza, making calls with the confidence of people who've never had their decisions replayed and dissected by millions in HD. Caitlyn's playing too well for them, so their answer? Make it harder for her. If nothing changes soon, this show won't end with cheers, it'll end with fans walking out, wondering why they ever bought into the story, and just when you thought things couldn't get crazier, bam, they turned the circus all the way up. These refs? Not just bad, Olympic-level bad. Like, did you grab your rulebook from a coloring book bad?
The WNBA refs are the worst. They really are the worst.
We got to unpaint these narratives. They all have heart. All the mannerisms in basketball are the same. This is going to be the same. Doesn't matter your color, your race, or your religion. That means I shot in your face. This means I'm clapping. I'm excited. How do you make basketball mannerisms about race? Make it make sense. Sometimes we might even push the ref. I'm in the heat of the moment. I'm not a bad person.
Wait, hold up, wait. You be pushing refs, Angel?
I ain't never pushed them, but I've gotten in their face. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause, you know.
Even when you watch the MNBA, I would pray for, and Scott Foster sucks, but I would pray for a Scott Foster in the WNBA. Some of these women's refs, I don't know if you feel this way, Angel, but they have
At one point, it honestly felt like the refs were pulling fouls out of thin air, random calls with no connection to what was actually happening, while completely ignoring everything happening to Caitlyn Clark and her teammates. Clear contact? Nope. Just hustle. A full-on WWE-style suplex in the paint? Apparently, that's just solid defense now. This isn't a conspiracy, yet. But if a few more games keep looking like this, we're going to have to start checking those earpieces. How else do you explain this ongoing pattern of willful blindness from people whose job is literally to watch the game? It's like they made a pact to never call a foul on Caitlyn no matter how many times she's slammed flat on national TV. At this point, even crash test dummies are getting more sympathy. You start wondering if there's a secret meeting behind closed doors at WNBA headquarters, one of those dimly lit rooms where execs gather around a PowerPoint titled, How to Slow Down Caitlyn Clark Without Being Too Obvious. And the refs? Just loyal soldiers carrying out the mission, sabotage disguised as officiating. It's starting to feel like the league wants this team to struggle, like they're allergic to momentum. Every time Caitlyn hits her rhythm, here come the refs with their, whoa, that looked like a good play, better ruin it, energy.
I've said it before and I will say it again. The WNBA as an organization is insufferable, and you would be hard pressed to find another organization that is as committed to self-imploding as the WNBA.
There is no place in basketball for somebody to be poked in the eye and then they're saying Caitlyn Clark is flopping. In what world is she flopping? Oh, she flailed and she fell over. For crying out loud, that girl, JC Sheldon, should have been kicked out of the game. She should have received a flagrant 2. There's no reason why you need to poke somebody. Listen, I get it. She's playing her hard. She's guarding her. It's basketball. Aside from the viewership and the recordship and the media, it's just a basketball game. I totally get that. There's no place in basketball for like that. These WNBA refs need to...
Meanwhile, players on other teams are practically breakdancing on defense and getting free throws for it. It's a full-on clown show, and everyone seems to be in on it, except the players actually trying to play real basketball. And while all this chaos unfolds, guess who's missing? The commissioner. Yeah, that elusive figure who stays silent no matter what's going on. You'd get a quicker answer from a magic 8 ball than from her office. Players get fouled, Fans lose their minds, commentators throw shade, and she's nowhere to be found. Try finding a public comment from her. Go ahead. You're more likely to spot Bigfoot wearing a referee jersey. The only thing consistent about her leadership is how consistently absent it is. Days pass, scandals pile up, questionable calls make headlines, and she's like she's stuck in some apathy coma, sending nothing but beige emails. You'd think she was running the league from a treehouse with no Wi-Fi. Penalties take forever, fines only happen after a week-long nap and a vision quest. She handles basketball crises the way a tortoise would handle a house fire, slow, confused, and somehow walking the other way.
Lost control of the game.
I said you lost control of the game, and here's what happened is those are refs around allowed that type of play to happen. That just opens up the rest of the game to say, do you see what I got away with? I'm going to be able to get away with other things too. And that's exactly what I said. That's a dangerous game. That is a unsafe game for players to be a part of, because it allows for the other team to make some really nasty, maybe